Hi everybody, welcome to another video on Math 1332, section 3.1, statements and quantifiers. So a statement is a declarative sentence that can be objectively determined to be either true or false, but not both. So we can verify that a statement is either true or false, but not both. Right, so here's some example. Decide which of the following statements are statements and which are not. So 1 plus 1 is 3, so we know that is false. And we can verify that. So it is a statement. This book is about database management. Well, we don't know what book we're talking about, but either true or false. We can verify that, so it cannot be both. So this one is still a statement. Right. Is that your laptop? This, of course, this is not a statement. It's more like a question, and we cannot verify true or false because the question, of course, answer itself, the answer for that is only either true or false. But we talk about the question. The question itself is not a statement. Sorry. Math rocks. Well, again, that is the opinion, cannot verify. So, in bottom line, after this example, we can see that a statement ends with a period. And so this one is. Right. So this is the statement, either true or false. Next, we define a negation of a statement. The negation of a true statement is a false statement. So we turn true to false, and then negation of false statement is a true statement. So pretty much it turns from true to false and from false to true. And the notation for that, for negation, we use that simple. Right? Now, so we know the definition, we know the notation for it. Let's look at some example. We have this statement. Now we try to form the negation for it. So the negation is kind of the opposite meaning. So if it's true, turn that to false, and false turn to true. So pretty much we just throw the word not in it. So Shakespeare wrote that whether true or false, but of course this is a false. So in that case, all we need to do is just throw in the not to it. And this is wrote original statement, then we just say did not. Did not write the TV series Modern Family. Yeah, so just add the not to it. Now what if it is not there? If it's not in the sentence, in the statement already, then we just simply take it away. So we just, today is Monday. So that we form the negation of a statement. Next, we have this kind of story. Once upon a time, there were two identical twins, so they look exactly like each other. The house will be at the fourth road, so the house will be right here. And one led to the city and one led to the forest. One of the twins always tell the truth and the other always tell lies. So, and the problem is whenever any traveler come by, they can only see. Okay, so could only ask one question and only saw one of the twins. So because they are identical twins, we do not know if that tell the truth or tell false, and we can only answer one question. So if we have more than one question, the first question could be to verify if they are true or false. We just say it, we could ask something all obvious, and the answer can indicate that it is true or false. For example, we said, "Is that your house?" And if the answer yes, that means they tell the truth. If they said no, that tell false. Something like that. But we can only tell one. We can only ask one question. So what would you ask in that case? Well, thinking in context here, I put this example right below the negation, so somehow we have to use the negation in our advantage. And the answer to that is something like this. Usually, which way you say, which way do you say lead to the city? Yeah, we want to go to the, let's say we just want to go to the city, for example, right? So we're going to ask that question. So usually, which way do you say lead to the city? Right, so very subtle, just one sentence, right? But the key is in here, usually. Now think about that. If we see the person telling the truth, usually he will point in one way, and now he will point in the same way because he's tell the truth. So he will point into the city because that's what he usually do, and he will not contradict with that. So he still pointing to the city. Now, if that person tell false, usually he will say the other way will go to the city. He point to the forest, but that is what he usually say. Because he tell the truth, because he tell false, he usually point that way. This time he have to turn that to negation and he point into that way. So either way, both of them will point to city, because the person tell the truth will not contradict with himself. He will point to the direction he usually say, which is the truth, to the city. And the person telling lies, that we always tell lies. So usually he tell lies, he point to the forest, but this time he have to say negation of what the lies that he's saying. We point to the forest, to the city again. So negation of the negation. In this case, the negation of the negation turn the lie into the truth. Right. So in that case, what I try to put in the note here is negation of negation is the statement itself. Right. Next we have quantifiers. Quantify statement involve terms such as all, every, none, no, some, other. There exists at least one, many, half, majority, of those kind of things. And there are two kinds of quantifiers. The one that universal quantifiers deal with everything. For example, we say all, each, and every, no, or none. So all of them, meaning we either include everything or we do not include anything. So either all or nothing. Just one note though, the no and the none here carry the negative tone compared to all, each, and every. The others are called the existential quantifiers. So meaning that some of it, not all and not none. So somewhere in between is existential quantifiers. So let's look at some example. Here are some example of quantifying statements. Every student taking philosophy this semester will pass. So we have every here, which is universal quantifiers. Quantifier. No nursing student is majoring in criminal justice, and the answers are no. Of course, it's universal again. And next, most. So this is not all and not none. So there's something in between. So that is existential quantifiers. And there's at least one. So that also existential. Yeah. I put the note here just indicate that some quantifiers might carry the negative meaning to it, like no or none. Some quantifiers have negative meaning. Just be careful with that. Right, next. Negation. The negation of a statement is corresponding statement with opposite true values. Well, of course, we covered that before. Now, here's some example. It says that if we have all do, then the negation is some do not, or not all do. Right. So that's a lot of thing to memorize. We're not going to memorize that. But the key here is, if we're going to change a statement to a negative statement that involves quantifiers, changing the negation statement itself will not be good enough. Look at the example at the bottom here. Once upon a time, there was a member of parliament got into trouble by saying half of the member of parliament are idiots. So his half here is the existential quantifiers. And because he got in trouble, he was asked to issue an apology on the newspaper. And this is what he said: I apologize. What I meant to say was half of the member of parliament are not idiot. So by the look at it, we throw in the word not in it, meaning that we have the negation. But essentially, this tells the same thing as the original statement. Think about that. If he think half are idiots, the other half are not. So by saying the other half are not, it's the same thing as saying the original half maybe still be idiot. So essentially here, that is not actually a negation. So we cannot just throw the word not in it and make it negation. So what we have to do is the rule, as you see, all, some, and none. So what we do here is, when we throw the word not, or we take out the word not, we have to change from the universal quantifiers to existential quantifiers, and then we do the negation. That is the correct way to do it. Watch out for the case when we have no or none. That carry the negative meaning to it. But once again, if we want correct negation, there has to be a change from universal quantifiers to existential quantifiers. So I need to write that somewhere. So negation involving quantify statements those negation include a change of quantifiers. Right, so we have to change the quantifiers. So let's look at one example. Every student, so we have every here, which is universal, taking philosophy this semester will pass. So if you want to negate it, the first thing we do, of course, we change the quantifiers. The second thing is we negate that. So every universal, now we change to existential or some, or at least one. Change that. And then the rest of the statement, some student taking philosophy this semester will not pass. Yeah, so we do two things, change the quantifiers and negate the statement. So that is the correct way to write the negation for a quantified statement. Right, next, most people in Dallas are Cowboys fans. So the negation to that is this most, so that is existential. It's not all. So somewhere in between all or none. So it's not all. So we have to change this to universal quantifier. So we can either go with all or we can go with none. So if we go with all, so we change the quantifiers and the rest of the statement we need to negate. All people in Dallas. Now we have to negate are not Cowboys fans. Right, so that's what we have. Right, next. All smartphones have cameras. So the all here, universal. We have to change that to existential. So maybe at least one, or some, or many. To say at least one is and the rest of the statement there's not have camera. And then say some students walk to school, and this is existential quantifiers. Some, so we change that to none student walk to school. That will be enough because the none includes the negative meaning to it. So or if we just want, so we change that to all students. So we say they do not walk to school. Right? Yeah. So or we can say no student walk to school. The no have the not in it, the negative meaning to it. So that's good. And not all people take the vaccine. So not all. So what do we have? So this all in part is universal. So that's universal. And this have not already. So we just need to do some. And then people take the vaccine. So we go from not, take out the not, and change the quantifiers. So that's good. Right, so change the quantifiers, change the negative meaning, to it. Right, now back to this example. This is not a good apology. The good apology may have to be, what I meant to say was, we should change the quantifiers, right? So either we say none are idiots or all of them are not idiots, would be fine. Right, and with that, I finished section 3.1, and as always, thank you for watching, and see you in another video in Math 1332.